guys, Andrea Mills here. Today I want to show you the new menu planning plan that I have been trying out. I have done several different things over the years, but I always keep looking for a better way, because what it boils down to is the more times I have to make a decision, the more easily things fall apart. My most recent plan that I have been doing was just, I printed out kind of this blank menu sheet and I would fill in everything on here that we were going to have for the week, and I made them double-sided so that I wouldn't have to print one out as frequently. This worked good because I only had to make decisions once a week, but it was too frequent still. So the day that I needed to fill out my menu would come, and if I didn't have time to sit down and fill it out, then it wouldn't happen and we'd be right back to, you know, 5 o'clock rolling around and me not knowing what we're gonna have for dinner. So I kept thinking, how can I have a flexible menu plan, because I don't want to, like, there's certain nights on Tuesdays we always have tacos, and on Thursdays we always have pizza, so those are gonna be always there, but I wanted it to be flexible. Like with the writing in menu, if something changed, then it felt like my menu wasn't working, because let's say Wednesday came and we were gonna have spaghetti, but for some reason that couldn't happen that night, something came up or whatever, then if I had bought stuff for that meal, then I felt like it was going to waste because I already had stuff set for the other days. I don't know if that makes sense. The other thing is that I wanted to have a lot of variety, because when it comes to making decisions, we tend to always keep eating the same things over and over, just because, you know, I know people like it and I have a hard time branching out. So I wanted to build in more variety. I also wanted to keep it as decision-free as possible, and I am more than willing to put in time up front to put a system in place if it means that I'm not going to have to think about it a lot later. So this is the plan that I came up with. All I am using is a 3x5 card file box and some 3x5 cards. I had actually got these ready to print on my computer so that they would have nice pretty writing on them, but my printer is being retarded, and even though I'm married to a computer guy, I haven't had an opportunity to have him fix that for me. So I went ahead and just wrote them all in with a pen, and I just sat down and I made all of the things I could think of using some of my other lists that I already had, and I made menu cards. So like this one says shepherd's pie, and in addition to putting just the main dish on there, I went ahead and I wrote in side dishes too. So this one has salad, applesauce, and biscuits to go with the shepherd's pie. So I ended up with about 60 of these, and I'm sure I'll keep thinking of more things to add to it. But that means if we could eat for 2 months basically and never repeat a dinner with the amount of cards that I was able to come up with. So then my plan is to put the cards in the box, which I labeled with my little label maker, and if I know we're gonna have 5 suppers this week that we need to plan for, because 2 nights we're gonna have, you know, we're gonna have tacos and pizza on 2 of the nights, so then I will just take and look at the top 5 cards. So shepherd's pie, tomato soup and grilled cheese, nachos, garlic lime chicken, and chicken parmesan. Then those are going to be my 5 dinners for the week, and then I can just look and see when I'm going grocery shopping what kinds of things that I need to make all of this stuff. Then each day in the morning, or maybe the night before, I can look at the card and see what we're having the next day, see if I need to thaw anything out or start anything in the morning, and that's what we'll be having for that night's dinner. After that, I can just move the card to the back, and I have the next night's dinner card in the front. Then after I've made it through those and it's time for our next shopping day, go back like this. Then I will be ready to look at the next 5 meals and make it, make a shopping list for what I need for those next meals. Once I got all the cards made, I kind of stacked them into piles. Like I had all the breakfast type dinners in a pile, all the pastas were in a different pile, any of the kind of the meat heavy like roast beef or a roasted chicken and things, those all went into a pile. And I had like 6 or 7 piles, and then I just took cards from each pile in a row, so you know, so that they wouldn't have everything close together. So I took one from the meat pile, then right behind it I put one from the pasta pile, and then behind that one from the breakfast pile, and so on, to kind of mix them all up so that there was a variety. I was thinking that as we start using this more and I kind of see how it works, that it might be a good idea if there's something that I like when I make certain chicken soups. I usually use leftover chicken for that from another meal, so I would probably want to make sure that those are coming close together in the rotation. So the soup would come, you know, the day after we have a roasted chicken or something like that. I also thought, as I see how this works, we could add in breakfast cards and lunch cards also. I haven't decided if it would be annoying to have them all in the same box, because then you'd have to like flip through and, you know, find all 3 meals in one day, which might be kind of annoying, or I could have 3 separate boxes, but that would take up more space. So I haven't really decided how I'm going to do that, but I will show you that if you want to try this, I make dividers for my 3x5 card boxes myself. So these are the 3M adhesive labels. They're like sticky note kind of stuff, and this is just on an actual 3x5 card, and then I labeled it with my label maker, or you could use a pen. This one was a piece of cardstock that I cut, and I rounded the corners and then put the label maker, or the divider tab on it. So I could make 3 of these, you know, one says breakfast, one says lunch, one says dinner, and then I could have the cards behind each one of those sections for finding which meal I am planning for. I also wanted to show you that, like here I have 2 different cards that say chicken strips, but sometimes we had like one set of side dishes with it and sometimes a different, so I just went ahead and made 2 different cards with the 2 different sets of side dishes, and so we'll have the same main dish twice during that rotation, but the side dishes will be different. And actually, if there's something that you like to eat more frequently than other things, I was thinking that I could make, you know, just several of the same card and just disperse it throughout so that it would come up more often in the rotation than other stuff does. This one is for Grandma Fern's macaroni and cheese. We have 3 different types of macaroni and cheese that we like to have. This one she makes with Velveeta cheese, so we make that one sometimes. We also just make the boxed kind of craft macaroni and cheese sometimes, and then sometimes we do a baked style macaroni and cheese. So I went ahead and made a separate card for each one of those with their own side dishes, so that when, instead of just saying macaroni and cheese, because then I'd have to make a decision about which kind of macaroni and cheese to make, I went ahead and just made 3 separate cards. This one is for French bread pizzas, and I went ahead and put in sometimes some fun things, like this one has root beer floats, because a lot of times, you know, I never get around to doing some of the funner kind of things like making milkshakes or donuts or things like that. So I went ahead and put all of those things right on the cards. So like desserts and just fun things. Anyway, then I don't forget to do some of those. If I had like a recipe or something that was online or in a recipe book that I like to use, that I could go ahead and make notes right on the card about where that is found, so that I know where to look when it's time, especially if it's a new recipe that I saw somewhere and I might forget by the time the card comes up in the rotation. So that will hopefully jog my memory. For me, one of my hardest things is coming up with new ideas for meals, and so I was going to share with you some of the places that I look or get ideas from, which obviously, you know, we see things on Facebook or Pinterest or whatever, so that's a good place to find them. I also like to just observe what is, like when we go out to dinner, and I'll look at the menu and I think, oh, that sounds good, or that's a good combination or something. So I might use that as a base for making a menu card. One of my best places is in our local newspaper. The school lunch menu is always printed in the paper during the school year, so that gives me a lot of ideas that are kind of kid friendly. And then year-round, the senior citizen meals are listed in the newspaper, and that tells not just the main dish but the side dishes also, which is really helpful because sometimes I just don't think of things. So there's a few ideas of places to get new meal ideas. I was also thinking that you could do the same thing, only just making a list like I do for my lunches on Sundays. Since we have potluck with everyone that comes over on Sundays, I have a rotation of like 16 or 20 meals. I added some, I can't remember now how many it is. So for the whole year, we know every Sunday what we're gonna have, and it's all on one piece of paper. The downside is that if you do it that way, or if I did it that way, then I wouldn't have room for putting all the side dishes. Probably that would take up a lot of space. I'd have like pages of things to look at. But if it was just for the main dishes or whatever, that would work too. So I could make a list and then just take the top or the next 5 things on the list, and that would be my meals for the week. Now, as far as budgeting for the groceries, I buy most of my groceries when everything is on sale, so I keep a pretty well-stocked pantry. Like doing it this way, you wouldn't necessarily be able to take advantage of sales that were happening, which of course is flexible. So if you came up with something that you wanted to have and it wasn't on the card, then that's no big deal. Just, you know, do less cards that week and add in whichever other meal it was that you wanted to do. But I like to buy things when they're on sale, and I buy in bulk. So, you know, if crackers that we like are on sale, then I buy 1 or 2 cases of crackers and keep them, you know, until we use them up. But for fresh things, I buy those weekly. So with this plan, I just went ahead and listed on the card just fresh fruit or whatever it was instead of the actual type of fruit, so that whatever's on sale that week, I can buy that, and then when it's time to make the meal, whatever's in the refrigerator, that's what we'll use. And if they didn't have any, because it's that time of the year where it's hard to get good stuff, then we can just use something that's from the pantry that's canned or whatever. Okay, so this is how we are trying it. We've actually only done this for 1 week, but I wanted to give it a try before I actually made the video about it, because some of you guys were asking, and this is something new that I haven't really gotten into. So if any of you guys try this out, that I hope you will respond in the comments and tell us how it went for you, or maybe give some ideas of how you made it work even better, because I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to figure out how to do things the most efficient way possible, because I have a lot of stuff I want to get done, and I don't want to spend time doing tasks that are unnecessary. So yes, I hope this was helpful to you guys. If you want to keep talking about large family life, or how to run your household, or homeschooling, or any of those other things that we talk about, I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already. And if this video is helpful to you, I hope that you will like it and maybe share it with someone else if you think it would be helpful to them. Keep watching, because there are going to be many, many more videos coming up very soon.